What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the show. So the economy, inflation. Actually, we should be saying inflation and not just the economy, because when we talk about the economy and how people feel about the economy, they're usually referring to inflation. They're referring to the cost of things going up. And so what I want to show you today, I'm going to show you a clip. We're going to take a look at what President Trump said about inflation. We'll take a look at what Speaker Johnson said as a response to what President Trump said about inflation. But the bottom line here is people are struggling. And because people are struggling, this is going to have a major impact on the 2026 midterm election. So we're going to talk about all this today. We're focusing on the election, and I'm going to show you the numbers when it comes to wage growth versus inflation and why we could see a blue wave in November as a result of inflation. And so first, let me show you what President Trump said about inflation, and then we'll take a look at Speaker Johnson's response to what President Trump said about inflation.
Mr. President, about the latest inflation number which came out this morning, could that be a
No, I love it. The numbers were great. You know what I really love? I love the inflation. You know why? Because as soon as this war is over, you know, I can say it now. Something you didn't know. Do you know we've been taking out millions of barrels of oil? Nobody knows it. You know who doesn't know about it? Iran, until right now. We took out the other night 22 ships late at night with no lights because they don't have any radar because we blasted the crap out of it. We took out, that's why oil's $85 a barrel.
And so that was President Trump saying that he likes the inflation. Now let's hear the response from Speaker Johnson.
Mr. Speaker, the president said today, I love the inflation amid these high economic...
I knew somebody was going to ask me that. It was totally out of context. You know what he was talking about.
But the message that voters want to hear right now?
No. The president is laser focused on the domestic economic situation. He is working to bring down prices. He is working to get the Strait of Hormuz reopened. We have passed legislation. He's used executive orders to get the cost of living down.
What about the economic today?
Everybody got their highest tax refunds they've had in their whole lives. They're getting greater paychecks. There's all sorts of great economic indicators, but there's still challenges, gas prices among them. So what he was saying is it's going to be great to have that number and compare it to what comes next when we get these situations resolved. That'll be a fun thing to consider and to compare. That's what he was talking about. That was the context. I was standing right behind.
So there was Speaker Johnson saying that, you know, it's going to be great because inflation is at this number. It's at 4.2% right now, but it'll be great as soon as they get this resolved. It's basically probably talking about the war. But once they get that resolved, then inflation will come back down. But people are struggling right now. So people don't care about, oh, you know, this is going to be a great story. Inflation went up, but now, you know, it's coming back down. People, you know, if you can't afford things now, you're not worried about what's going to happen 6 months from now. You're worried about paying your bills today. And let me show you just what I'm talking about here. So when we're looking at inflation, here, and we'll go back. So this is a 3-year marker here. Okay, so we go all the way back 3 years. It was, I think this was like 4.1% here. Okay. Now that was back during the Biden administration. Now look at what happened with inflation. It dropped here, went back up a little bit, dropped. So it kind of teetered off, and then it went all the way down here. Now I marked off this point here, January of 2025. That is when President Trump came into office. Okay. So this metric right here, President Trump came into office. Inflation was at 3%. Okay. So we had 3% inflation there. Now look what happened. Inflation dropped, and I believe it dropped down as low as 2.3 or 2.4%. That was in April. Then look what happened. This is all in 2025. Then we started to see inflation go up. Okay. And then we don't have a number here. That's because of the government shutdown. Then it leveled off here, was at 2.7%, dropped back down a little bit to 2.4%. And then look at what's happened this year. We've seen it skyrocket. And this is what people are talking about. They're talking about the fact that we are seeing inflation skyrocket, and a lot of it has to do with this war. But understand, it's because fuel prices have increased. But when fuel prices increase, everything else increases with it because transportation brings our products to us, brings our food to us. So if truckers have to pay more for their fuel and airline fuel costs more and all of that, then guess what? That means that we're going to have to pay more in the long run, not even in short term right now. We're watching fuel prices increase. But in the long term, we're going to see the cost of products increase and they will stay elevated. Now, one other thing I want to show you. We're looking at inflation. Now let's look at wage growth. When we're looking at wage growth, it's doing the opposite of inflation. And that is what's bad, because if we go to May here, you have wage growth at 3.4%. So wage growth is at 3.4%. Inflation, overall inflation, is at 4.2%. Inflation is higher than wage growth. And so what that means is you're worse off because your purchasing power is less. And so now let's listen to Harry Ensign talking about this. Here we go.
Yeah, I would just say, if I'm an American, based upon the polling I'm seeing, I hear the president go, what the heck did I just hear? What the heck is going on? One of the most politically tone-deaf statements I've ever heard, and you can see it in the numbers right here. Americans don't like the inflation. They hate the inflation. They don't love the inflation. They hate the inflation. Inflation net approval, minus 50 points or worse, 50 points underwater or worse. Total polls per president. Trump in 2026, already at least eight polls in which his net approval rating on inflation or the cost of living is negative 50 points or worse. Every other president in every other year, the answer is zero. Trump is not only the first one to reach negative 50 points or worse net approval rating on inflation, he's done it many of times. So when I hear Trump's statement, I feel like Mrs. White and Klug going, what is happening here?
A big aspect, and one of the first things that people track in terms of the cost of living is the cost of gas prices. Yeah. How are people feeling about Trump and gas prices? Yeah,
okay. So you see this historic number right here. You know, Trump being the first one ever to get minus 50. He's done it multiple times. No other president's done it. How about an 80% disapproval on gas prices, which of course is fueling this frustration with inflation? Take a look here. The only president with an 80% disapproval rating on gas prices of all time is Trump. In 2026, you can see Trump there. He's pointing the arrow to it. Yes, he has done it. This Iran war has done it. It has fueled record frustration on inflation and record frustration when it comes to gas prices. The only president ever with at least an 80% disapproval rating on gas prices, Donald John Trump, in this year, 2026.
And from yesterday, we've been told that his statement of "I love inflation" just ricocheted and ripped through Capitol Hill. And you can hear from Republican lawmakers the very real concern about what this increase in prices means to their constituents. But of course, that's also tied into the midterm election. Is this frustration trickling down?
Yeah. President Trump may love the inflation. The American people hate the inflation. And I think the Republicans on Capitol Hill absolutely hated Donald Trump's statement. Why? Because it is absolutely funneling down. Okay, Democrats are the party more trusted on inflation. For the first time since the 1970s, it is true now today, we are actually seeing polling in which the Democrats are the party that is more trusted on inflation. I was looking back at all the polls that I can find. The last time it really happened in an average of polls was in 1978, of course, before that inflation boom took Jimmy Carter out. And if history is prologue in this situation, well, it's going to take out the Republican majority in the House as well. So no wonder that Republicans heard that statement and, just like me, are like, Mrs. White, what did I just hear? Well, you just heard a president who wants to sink his party's midterm fortunes. That's what you just heard.
And so you see, it's all about inflation. If Democrats run on inflation, they will be able to win not only the House, but they'll be able to win the Senate as well. And so all of the noise that you're hearing about, all these different scandals and all the stuff that you're hearing about, Democrats need to focus on the economy. They need to focus on inflation. They need to focus on the fact that people can't afford things. They can't afford to buy groceries. They can't afford fuel. They can't afford these things. That's what they need to be focused on. And when we're looking at the House map, what you need to understand, all Democrats need to do is net 3 seats in order to take back control of the House. That's all they need to do. Now, of course, you have redistricting out there, so that's going to be an issue. But Democrats, they just need 3 seats. If they can get to 218, if they're at 215 now, give or take, with the special elections that still need to play out, Democrats need to just net those 3 seats. And the good news for Democrats, in a midterm election, on average, the House picks up about 20 seats, 20 to 30 seats. And so they should easily be able to pick up those 3 seats, even though you're hearing all this talk of redistricting. And then when we're looking at the Senate, right now, we have about 9 states that are in play. Democrats need to defend 3 of those states, and they also need to net 4. they can take back control of the Senate. There's a pathway for Democrats to take back control of the Senate. And as long as we're looking at the situation with inflation skyrocketing and continuing to increase, it's going to increase. So the numbers that we see in July will be for June. We're going to also see an increase. You have to understand too, people are going to want to travel now. They're going to want to go on vacation. And gas prices will be a big reminder to people when they go to the pump and they have to, pay $100 or $150 just to get gas so they can travel across the country if they want to do that. Or if they want to fly somewhere, they're going to see airfare has increased because jet fuel has increased. And so this is going to be a big reminder to the voters that things are out of control. And when we're looking at this war in Iran, it looks like it's starting to pick back up again. And this is the last thing I want to leave you with today. So President Trump's job approval on inflation. Look at the numbers here. If you look at the top, this yellow bar, you see the spread is minus 41.7. Now, I know when Harry Inton was talking, he had some averages, and the averages were over 50. I think he said eight polls were showing over 50 or over minus 50%. Right here, they're showing minus 41.7%. That is terrible. Disapproval at 69%. Approval at 27.3%. And if you look at some of the individual pollsters here, you have the Economist YouGov. This was conducted between 6.5 and 6.8. 1,438 registered voters. Approval at 28%. Disapproval at 67%. The spread there is minus 39. Reuters Ipsos. This was conducted between 6.3 and 6.8. 4,531 adults. Approval at 21%. Disapproval at 72%. The spread there is minus 51. Harvard Harris, this was conducted between 529 and 531. 1,725 registered voters. Approval there is at 35%. Disapproval at 65%. The spread there is minus 30. And you just see on down the line, you have minus 30, minus 36, minus 52, minus 38, minus 52, minus 46, minus 31. And so the president is underwater on this issue. And a lot of the other issues is underwater too, but inflation, this is the issue that he's most underwater, and this is the issue that voters care about the most. And so now I want to pass it off to you. What do you guys think about inflation? Do you think that will be the #1 issue in the midterm election? Let me know in the comments below. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe for more. And remember, stay informed, stay engaged, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Bye. So that's all we have for this video. Make sure if you guys want to send me an email, you can do that, david@thetecshow.com. Like the video, subscribe for more, and check out these videos over here for some more great content. Talk to you later. Bye.